Alrighty, fellas, welcome to the 225th episode of Office Hours. We're just going to jump right into it. Jonathan and Delaclin, I imagine you guys are together?
Yep.
Cool. So throw it at us, man. See what we can do.
Okay, so basically, yeah, do you want me to share my screen? It's probably a bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, just give me one sec. Cool, you can see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm basically just exporting these logos out as HTML. So let me have a look. Yep. And you can set the size and everything here. It's just when I basically put this in an HTML element, it only works if I basically say put it in the header or something on page load. Whenever I try to put it in a pop-up group that's hidden based on like a workflow for when an API call is successful, it just shows like the image, but it doesn't animate it through a pop-up, if that makes sense.
So when you do the specific API call, right, and you want this icon to show, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha.
Based on the response of that, yeah.
I gotcha. And so you set up the workflows to trigger that, and it's not working?
Yep. So I'll just we can show you quickly if you want.
So it is showing, it's just not animating. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's probably a little bit big. I'll make this a bit bigger. Oh, okay. Apparently it works now. That's very weird.
Gotcha.
That's pretty standard. You go on office hours and things start working.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like maybe it has something to do with the.
So we're not going to want to have that little play animation showing.
No.
You can get rid of that. That's fine.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, controls. Yep, it's all good. No, awesome, man. That's actually my only question. But if I'll do some more testing in case something else quirky was happening with the other workflow I was using. But I mean, that wasn't happening before. Yeah, it just was showing like a still image only through a pop-up. So it's all good.
Gotcha.
Should we have a look at that without controls to make sure it's working? Because that might be why it's showing a still image. Yeah. Oh no. Well.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but maybe I can.
And if we only wanted to play once, is that possible?
Yep. Yeah, that's just all handled through here. So we can loop or set it off loop. So we'll do that too.
I think lotties are really underutilized.
Yeah, they seem really cool. I didn't even know of them, but pretty good for performance. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I had an app that was just full of GIFs and it just slows everything. Like if you've got a lot of them, you can definitely.
Yeah. I don't think there's any sense using a GIF if you can have it in Lottie format. Certainly a lot better. So it didn't work that time, John, when it was.
Oh no, it's just because I because I noticed it was already partway through the animation when we brought up the pop-up before. So I just wanted to also show it in this workflow. So it's sort of synced. Yeah, see, that's sort of what was happening before. Which is
Can you
weird.
put a slight pause between when it appears?
You didn't change anything. You just refreshed the page.
So we changed it from being a loop, just being a one time only, because we kind of wanted just to say tick, booking added successfully instead of repeating through.
Hmm. I mean, it might be worth just looping it to make sure that it's still going to play in this instance. Now that I've had it to hide and then show when the pop-up shows. Yeah, okay.
You could
So it's just
like,
unable to sync the load, yeah.
you could just hide the pop-up like after a few seconds, maybe. So
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
yeah,
It's just that I guess in that case that we could probably, yeah,
When
it just goes at different times.
you can add an X on the pop-up too.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I think I can have a bit more of a look at this, but yeah, I just don't know how to get it synced with like maybe a pop-up. Maybe I could use like a different container or something.
You might even be able to set a custom state on it and say that that's only visible when this state is active, and that might trigger it because it's showing it.
Yeah, I get you, like a real-time conditional or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that might work.
I wonder if you set it to not loop, whether it would work now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Oh, whoops.
You can adjust the settings of the loop on the actual site.
Yep, I did that, I think. Didn't I?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Can you have a look in the inspector for it, for that Lottie file? Oh no, sorry. The back in the designer. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. All good. Oh, in the designer, you mean like this?
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah.
that.
So,
Yeah. I wonder if displaying as an iframe would work. Have you tried that?
nope. Can I have a look?
No, it just gives you that.
Maybe I could, I'm not sure, maybe set a conditional or like a custom state to then apply this script.
Mm-hmm.
That's my next guess, but I'm not sure.
If you want like quick validation, you could just add a button at the bottom right corner of that pop-up that says okay once they know like it's like the action is done. Because I can't think off the top of my head how you get the pop-up to hide after a few seconds. I guess I guess your user is assuming they'll just have to click outside of the pop-up.
I was just going to have it in the workflow pause for like a second and then hide it.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I was hoping to sync that with the animation speed. I think, yeah, we can sort of like customize how long it would take. But I was hoping that that would obviously be synced so it shows the full animation and then closes it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
The easiest solution looks to be like looping it and then cutting it off. Yeah.
It's just that I think it loops independently in the back end, like regardless of whether it's like hidden or showing. So it might like go through mid animation. It seemed like, I don't know if it was just me but that's what it seemed like was happening.
And so is it just not starting at all when we have pop up?
Yeah.
Without looping, is it just not animating at all, or is it just delayed with the animation?
What? Did that just work now? We'll refresh again.
Is there any way you can put a pause between when that appears?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean so delay it for a bit? Yep.
Yeah, so that way when it's actually already appeared, then it starts
That's a good idea.
when it's invisible. So hopefully we can see the full animation.
That's right. It's set to a conditional.
Trying it on my end as well, see if I can figure it out.
Weird.
Yeah, I think that's just the iframe thing.
Yeah, good point. I was just thinking maybe we'll turn that off.
Yeah.
Man, you should see me when I'm like designing things. I'll spend like 10 hours on one thing. Ridiculous.
It feels like that sometimes when you find you just really want to get something out there.
You just want it to be right.
Yeah.
10 hours on a button.
Yeah, I think we've revised the same item like 17 times. And this is probably back to where we started. So. Is there any reason why that wouldn't be triggering? You know, have you got an example of when you haven't got loop activated and then it's working, not within a pop-up?
It works completely fine if it's like on an element to show on page load. Like when we like load the page, it'll just show fine and like behaves like fine otherwise. I was thinking about using like maybe a floating group as a different container, but I don't think that we can actually center that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, besides that, like I don't know.
So it's only experiencing this issue when we paste it into a pop-up as opposed to like a page element.
Correct. Yeah.
You can put it in a group. I mean, because you're not doing, you're not new responsive, are you?
No, I am. Yeah. That's why it's really hard because unless it was all aligned to parent, I couldn't just put something on top of it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Awesome. Cool.
That
So I just
work?
had to not give it that HTML until it
Oh.
was at the end of the workflow. So I just set the custom state to the script.
Oh, gotcha. That was really smart. That's awesome.
Awesome. I'm happy about that.
Very cool. Look good too.
Sweet. I think that's pretty much me. If you had anything, Ben.
Did that animate then, did it? Or
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, not the second time actually,
that's only on?
but I can actually have it so that when it closes to change the custom state to nothing again. So it would have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we want to make sure if they add 2 bookings, it appears twice. Nice.
Exactly. Yep.
How's your app building going, Ben?
Oh, look, slowly. I'm creating everything in reusable elements now. So I'm recreating the whole thing, but in reusables.
So can you still use a lot of what you've already got, or is it kind of like starting fresh and just sort of
I'm
using
starting
your eyes
fresh.
to?
So
Wow.
my whole app crashed essentially with a bug, and there was nothing Bubble could really do. So I've had to kind of
Wow.
recreate it all.
And is that, may I ask, like an issue within Bubble itself, or it's just kind of partially to the way it was designed?
Both. Yeah, a bit of both. There was
there
so many plugins and so many things happening at one time that it was just too much. So we're moving a lot of the back end stuff to Xano. Is
Epic.
it Xano, Thomas? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
I think it's, yeah, and then yeah, so
that is awesome. That's we use Xano as
So
well.
good.
Oh,
It's
you guys
changed
use
it?
everything. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Did you guys find it that it was hard to like wrap your head around like how to structure things in Xano, or was it like just a quick learn?
It took me a little while, but I've never done backend or even APIs before, so it was kind of learning JSON and how does an API call work to get it working. But I found relatively quickly using their guides. Once you see a few examples of how to manipulate the data how you want, it was extremely easy. I think the big thing was being able to take like a curl from a API endpoint. You've got a successful call somewhere, so you can in your console inspect the network to see a particular call. You just copy that curl and you can import it directly into Xano, and it creates all of your authentication with your headers, your body, identically to how the call needs to be. So as long as you've got a copy of the call happening somewhere, you can then replicate that in Xano in one click. It's a huge time saver to be able to start. You've now got access to whatever that call is, and you can then start manipulating the data. You can proxy the data, so it doesn't have to touch the database and send it elsewhere, or you can make it touch the database and you've got it there, but it's super powerful, yeah.
Sounds pretty flexible.
All these modules we have in here are all running via getting the data via API through Xano, and it's like the performance has been great.
So did you guys move into Xano because of this specific reason? You guys were limited with just database?
Literally the calendar in particular. I just we're loading at least 365 days worth of data, and then that could be across 50 properties on a client, several clients. So
I think the big reason why was just the ease of use in terms of working with complex APIs.
Yeah.
The inbuilt tools within Bubble allow you to do it, but you need to know, really how to create some custom code, I think, and do a bit of actual coding in order to be able to manipulate it how you need. Whereas with Xano, you can do that without having the need to know any code. They've got the tools within the platform.
Yep. Gotcha. That's
and
awesome.
you found the API pretty fast for bringing in information?
Extremely fast, yeah. So there is a few things where we've actually got a hybrid setup going. So we've got both users inside of Bubble, which we've set up a mechanism for that, and also in Xano. Anything like you see here, all the styling data, that's actually dynamic data that's coming from Xano. So we've got another portal, another app which can interact with this application that's getting proxied via Xano. So we can set the styling inside the other application, and then on the user's login through the authentication, we actually grab that styling data and input it into the Bubble database.
Just update. Yep.
So then as the page loads, you're actually accessing styling data and other content that you want to load quickly. So it's the same performance as Bubble, but then we get the benefits of having the external API for the rest of the data calls that we're doing. So I think in some instances, using Bubble's database has benefits. So I think using both in different circumstances is the ideal solution.
But Bubbles is faster, but yeah, just for the side panel dynamic colors and the writing and stuff, it's definitely better to do it through Bubble, but it's not much data. Yeah.
I also find that if you want to add a lot of data quickly, having Xano, which kind of acts like an Excel spreadsheet, or looks like it anyway, and allows you to do things in it like that does, is just so much easier than Bubble.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah, working with large amounts of data, which is what we've got, is just yeah, it's night and day. I think having Bubble really is a powerful front end developer with there's a back end attached to it, but their focus is primarily I think front end. Whereas Xano, they've got no front end attachment to it; it's just completely back end. So that's their entire focus. So it makes sense that there's more features that are designed for that use case.
Yeah. And how are you going for launch? You've already launched, haven't you?
So we're just in beta testing at the moment. So the front end is pretty much done. The last bit I need to do now within Xano is actually just get all the back end syncing tasks happening, where we've got 5 different softwares that Xano is connected to, which is then pushing to our own portals. So we've got a lot of data that we need to continuously sync through webhooks and through recurring pulls. So it's just getting all those back end flows set up to make sure they're not breaking, and which is I've had to learn a few different things in Xano how to do that. But yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to launching that, and I'll be ready to go at the end of this month. So pretty keen to get some feedback. And at the moment, there's no bugs that we haven't been able to overcome. It just all works seamlessly together.
Yep.
Awesome. And are you finding all the feedback's been really good so far for beta testers?
Yeah, definitely. I think just obviously you guys know the quality of the Bubble app that you can build is it's what's your imagination really, and then it's just the creating the back end tasks is the real just it's so much easier for us to manage that in Xano. What we're actually something cool that we're interested in incorporating is we've actually set up a call through Xano to start interacting with Google's GPT-3. It's super simple to start getting artificial intelligence products inside of your applications. So one for example, it's because it's all natural language processing. They've got a really simple API where you can give it an input, and the input is basically you tell it something in text and it gives you a result. So one of the examples I've used so far is for blog posts. With your blog post, write a blog post about how to code with Bubble. You can then set the length of the response that you want. Then as an instant result, as feedback, you're getting a fully formatted blog post done through Google's GPT-3, and it takes about 5 minutes to get set up.
Holy moly.
That's
extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So if you haven't checked it out, go onto OpenAI and sign up for an account. It's now open to everybody, and start playing with it, because if you're building applications that are, consumer facing, it's very, very, very easy now to incorporate some artificial intelligence into it.
So you're
Just for OpenAI, did you say?
OpenAI, yeah. So this is Google's GPT-3. They've got many different models in there. So you've got, depending on what sort of tasks you want the neural network to do for you, you've got more complex models, and they charge based on how much, I guess, computational power you need and which model you're using. But the calls, start from around 0.0001 cents. And for the most powerful model, you might be getting charged 0.01 cents per call. So it's quite cost effective as well to incorporate.
Are you using?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm on there now. The examples look great.
Have a go at the playground and just type in what you want it to do, and then use the Da Vinci model is the one I'd recommend, which is the most powerful model. And then play around with the parameters. Increase your length. You can have it make sure it's not repeating itself, so you can put in penalties for repeating text and stuff. And you can really then also, as you get a bit more complex, you've got a particular use case, you can start to fine tune it with reinforced models as well.
That's crazy. And you're starting to implement some of this stuff into your current application?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a few different tools that are going to allow our clients to do their marketing. So it's going to help them create blog posts. It's going to help them generate keywords from large groups of text. And a lot of these are just built-in tools that are ready to go on the playground that you could get set up yourself in 10 minutes.
amazing.
Yeah, I think because it's such a, I think it got released to the public, I think in December. So, you know, if you are building customer facing apps and you want to incorporate AI, I think now's the time to sort of get in ahead of the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's so many of those things kind of happening at the moment, like lots of things being released to the public that I don't understand, and you know, kind of sort of fashion words and phrases at the moment. But this just looks so powerful, and like it's just going to become, you're just going to need to know it inside and out, and what you can and can't do with it.
Yeah, definitely. And there's other options as well, but I think, you know, this is just such an easy framework to work with, and they've just built it to be really, really developer friendly.
Awesome. Well, there goes my weekend.
Does anyone else have any other questions today? Or?
Question, Lachlan. So you said it was like a 5 to 10 minute setup there. Are you working with the API connector or just working with the plugin to do GPT-3?
Yeah, both. I'll show you. So if I can share my screen if you like.
Absolutely.
Okie dokie. So let's have a look what I've got set up. So super easy setup. I've just basically got an input with the topic of the blog post, and then an input key that I've just created. So I'm saying you've got to have the input key in order to be able to authenticate the call. But then all we're doing is I'm just amending what the topic is. Let me have a quick look. How to Jeez. What's going on? So you've got your response there of how to build an app with Bubble. We can give it a slightly different input. So we've now got 7 steps of how to build with Bubble.
That is amazing. Did you add training data prior to this, or is it just
Basic? Yeah, so I've given it a basic context to work with, and then basically I'm just having the variable for the input change slightly. So I've created the first part of what it is, which is really simple: create a blog post or write a blog post about. And then I've just put that as the input. So it's basically, what do you want to write a blog post about? And then you set what you want the response to be, which was blog post, and that's what it's got.
That's incredible.
Yeah, is this a template you used, or did you create this one yourself? Just because I can see some of the examples here.
So I actually just, if you go into the playground, it's all based off text input. So you're not actually creating code. It's all based on you tell it something in human text, and it's going to give you a response. That's the entire system is designed to work that way. So some of the tools is like you can give it a text input, and then it'll convert that to a code for you as well. So it's really just designed to use the power of natural language to be able to dictate how the AI works. No coding involved. So in your playground, you just tell it something. Tell me about this, and that, and give it the response that you want, and it's going to just basically whatever question you give it, it'll come back to you with that. Now, if you want to obviously create really precise and more refined answers, you do need to potentially train the model. But just in terms of its general processing powers, presuming you're using its most powerful model, which is DaVinci, it'll probably give you a pretty good idea of what you're looking to hear about.
Gotcha. And there's a playground, you just access that via your dashboard, is that correct?
Yeah, so if you go into the examples and then you actually click into one of the examples, that'll actually boot up the playground for you. And then you can just completely wipe whatever's in that playground in terms of the preset data, and then it'll let you, type in your own information. I can probably bring it up actually, a bit easier.
Thomas, I think we'll have to have a play with this.
Yeah, so one I was using is,
So
I
these
guess
are
it doesn't
all
really matter.
you.
These are preset examples they've got, but again, you can create your own. So
Ready, blog post.
and we can change the filters. So we want the response length to be quite a bit longer. Again, frequency penalties. So how much do you want to penalize tokens based on the frequency or recurring nature of it? So if you keep getting the same response about the same thing said in another way, you can just make it penalize that so you get in a more advanced or a wider scope of answers that are coming back.
That's crazy.
Oopsies, I'll just reduce the length.
I thought about messing around with this before, but I heard it was a bit unstable. But I heard they recently have been making some pretty good updates.
Yeah, it's good to go now. So I think the official launch was in December or or into public beta. But here's your reasons why. It's easy to use, it's reliable, it's legitimate, it's rewarding, and it's global.
That is amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, certainly my favorite find of the year anyway. Besides the pro NoCoders, of course.
That is amazing, though.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I've just signed up, so I'll be giving that a crack later on today.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd be excited to see what sort of ideas you have, because it's really what it comes down to now is how creative can you be and how smartly can you implement it.
Yeah, totally. It's I mean, and just through APIs and other softwares and what other people do, you can just do so much. It's just like sky's the limit at the moment.
Well, I think that's really where we're at now is, that we're in the age of integrations, aren't we? I think with no code and the power to leverage APIs and tools like Xano and Bubble, you're able to exactly build on the existing infrastructure that's available there to be connected with, and profit from it, because there's all these open source APIs and things that are available. It's now just being creative with how do you want to use that data.
Yeah, exactly. And well, one of the things I think I was discussing with Tonya and possibly Eli about Xano was the fact that it can't do calculations, which I thought was interesting.
What sort of calculations?
Like in Airtable, you can run formulas and things on data into another field, but I don't think it can do that, can it?
Well, you don't set it up as a function like you would in an Airtable, but you can certainly make calculations. Definitely. There's a heaps of filters in there that you can add things together, subtract, and do all the things you can in Airtable.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome. It's crazy at the moment. Like every day there's a new tool popping up. You're like, oh, I have to learn this now.
Well, I think you're already with Bubble, which I think is the most powerful front end builder. And then I think there is two options when it comes to backends. You've got backendless and you've got Xano. In my opinion, I think they're the two front runners. What I found is that Xano just provides an even more of a complete no code option, whereas backendless still you need to have some code involved, which limits you if you're not, you're a dummy like me, you don't know any code. So I found that Xano for that particular use case means it was, I think they're a little bit newer than backendless in terms of the feature sets, but I think it's certainly more user friendly for a beginner.
Totally, yeah, I totally agree. I've had a look at both and spoken to a fair few people about it, and backendless calling themselves kind of no code is a bit silly, whereas Xano is very much a no code tool, from what I understand. Cool. Thomas, you got anything else?
Not off the top of my head. You?
No, I'm good. Should
Yeah.
we finish up early and get go out for some drinks then on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Let's do it.
I think so.
I'd like that.
Where are you guys based? You're in Australia, obviously, but whereabouts?
Brisbane.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Shall we end the
Whereabouts you?
session and go up to after hours?
Yeah. Let's jump into after hours then.
Sweet. All right, I'll end it here, fellas.